So, good afternoon, those who watch this video in the internet online and those who will see it after all. Today we have the webinar in English, then you will see the translation into Russian. Все получилось, Саша, вот именно в этот момент все заработало. Now I would like to introduce our guest, Lorenzo, the Luxembourg lawyer. How you introduce yourself? You are the tax lawyer or
Actually, I'm a chartered accountant because Luxembourg is a little different than other countries. We cannot have in the same company lawyers and accountants.
Understand. You have to be independent.
At least formally we have to be independent, and in practice there are no such good thing as it is in Russia to have in the same company accountancy and law.
I see.
Because I'm Italian originally. I've been living in Luxembourg for the last 20 years. So I can say all about it, good and bad things.
Okay.
So I'm not Luxembourg born, so I don't have to defend or particularly
20 years,
20 years
it's enough, to understand the differences, advantages and so on. So today we will talk about the advantages, maybe some disadvantages, some characters of the Luxembourg. And it is even better that you are the accountant, because to my extent the process of incorporation is just the beginning, and the main management of the company is done by the accountants.
Day-to-day activity is made by us.
Exactly. So that is even better that you are the accountant.
Yes.
So now talking about the Luxembourg, we may skip that just general information, geographical position and so on. Let us talk about the Luxembourg from the position of the taxes, from the position of
a little bit of history, not too much. Luxembourg was and still is an industrial country with a vast mining and steel industry.
Nobody knows about this in Russia.
Nobody knows?
Nobody. They don't know it's a financial sector.
No, the financial sector started only during the 70s due to the crisis of the mining and steel sector.
I see.
So we reconverted all the economy to the financial.
And do you remember the percentage of the financial sector in the whole?
At the beginning or now? Now I think if you talk about the revenues of the state, it might be like 40%.
40%.
So it's really an important part of the economy. It's not the only one. So we also have tourism, which is starting to be appreciated. We have actually slightly, yes. We have an orchestra, we have we have a museum of art, so we will have a free port zone like they do have in Singapore. So Luxembourg is starting to build around, of course, financial services, all kind of attraction to attract wealthy individuals and families, not only corporates.
So what Luxembourg proposed to luxury individuals, high net worth individuals?
Yes, because nobody knows, but there are still a lot of Russians coming to Luxembourg. There are more than 4,000 Russian residents in Luxembourg, which is a lot compared to 500,000. So it's almost 1% of population is Russian. We have a Russian Orthodox Church, we have a priest, there is a national dance, ballet, folklore, culture. So Russians are coming to Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a melting pot, mainly European, but is a melting pot. We have like 170 nationalities. So we have experience to manage all the situation from people coming from Russia or to southern Italy, from Turkey, from any kind of countries. So it's kind of going to America, but it's Europe. So it's kind of well regulated, welcoming compared to other countries which I've been with. So it's very easy to have a life there. It's very every day, no problem, administration is working.
And now what about the business? Making
the business, I think, is connected because when everyday life of a professional like we all are is easy, I can concentrate on my business and not on routines like school of the children and things like this. So in Luxembourg, I think we have a lot of professionals that choose really Luxembourg to live and to stay. For first, the flexibility of the legislation. We just adopted a new legislation on a special limited partnership, which is really inspired by the Scottish partnership and English law. So when there is a specific need of some good and interesting client, we are willing really to go even to the government and discuss what we can do to adapt our legislation to the best need of a specific deal or specific situation. So we changed many times our legislation. Since the beginning, Luxembourg is the first country that issued Eurobonds that were needed at that time to finance all the reconstruction of Europe after World War II.
Sorry, the idea of issuing Eurobonds is not that character which attracts the clients.
I know,
so
but that is to say that since the 50s, Luxembourg authorities are willing to discuss any kind of need. You can present a project in Luxembourg and if it stands up, will be accepted. That I can say for Russian, for Italian, for Chinese, any kind of client. It's really a melting pot of professionals.
Let us consider just one main reason why our potential clients are interested in Luxembourg, the incorporation of the company.
Yes.
We are talking about two types of clients: those who would like to incorporate the trading company and those who would like to have the holding company.
Yes.
So let's start with what? With holding.
For holding, Luxembourg is chosen as a holding jurisdiction, like a platform for investment from, for instance, other countries into Europe or from Europe into other countries. Because Luxembourg has I think over 80 tax treaties with other countries.
Yes, that is what I wanted to ask. If I'm not mistaken, we have with Russia.
And I'm coming. I'm Italian. I will come. So I think that we have two big chances that stroke like I don't know, like a thunder. First is the tax treaty that has been amended beginning of next year. So we will have the same advantages as, for instance, Cyprus. So Russian company can distribute a dividend to Luxembourg company by just paying 5%.
5%, the same with Cyprus.
Same as Cyprus. The difference with Cyprus is that we cannot pay dividends, let's say, to undisclosed shareholder. We have to actually pay 15%. But if we put on top on Luxembourg company, a Cyprus company or a Hong Kong company, due to the treaties, or even a Malta company, withholding tax is zero. So in Cyprus or Hong Kong there is no corporate income tax, and dividend could be paid out without withholding tax.
Understand. So from Russia the dividends paid with 5%, then with 0% say to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong, according to the other rules also. I see. This is the same with Cyprus.
This is the same with Cyprus. Of course, Cyprus was most privileged location for Russian clients. Secondly,
sorry, maybe one step back to the tax treaty. For technical reason, to implement the tax treaty with Cyprus was very easy to obtain the tax certificate. Is it easy to obtain the tax certificate in Luxembourg?
Luxembourg tax administration is one of the most efficient in the world. I can really witness that, even for my personal income tax. They're very efficient. Of course, they look at the file. We can ask the tax certificate and obtain it without any problem.
I see. So
under the convention, under the treaty of Luxembourg and Russia, for the article, I don't remember now if it's 14 or 15 for dividends, so it's really specific for the convention, for the treaty of Luxembourg and Russia.
I see. It goes automatically, say.
We have to ask it. We have to ask it, but we receive it automatically.
Automatically.
Yes.
Because, for example, in UK, I remember that one should fit different criteria.
No.
And tax.
UK and Netherlands have changed the legislation. We really need to have a Luxembourg company. Luxembourg company means to have a registered address in Luxembourg. It's preferable to have Luxembourg directors, of course, resident in Luxembourg.
Preferable but not obligatory.
Not obligatory, but preferable, because we'll need to held all board meeting and shareholder meeting in Luxembourg. So it's preferable that they already are resident in Luxembourg.
And what about handling the account? Do your company insist to be the signatory of the client's?
We do insist to be the signatory on the client company for many reasons that we can really open a discussion. But at the end, if we have a special need, we can have a double signature regime. So the client, better the client advisor or director, and us. So we have a joint signature regime, both, and that works. Now the communication, we have mail, fax, we can scan a document and banks execute, there is not a problem.
I see, I see. Okay, so when the company is already opened, how you, what are your requirements, how you work with the client, what you require, what documents you ask, and so on?
Normally we ask before all the requirements, because we
what
ask,
are they?
we ask exactly for holding company, which will be the investments. Normally it's a subsidiary, loan, or things like this, not something else. So if it's a subsidiary, we ask, of course, what is the activity of the subsidiary, what are they going to do, where, which country, which sector, how, which capital do they need. So we really take part of, we're not decision process, but we understand what is going on.
That is normal due diligence, pre-incorporation work.
Pre-incorporation work. Of course, we have every year, but at every decision, every important decision, we ask what is happening and if there are changes or why we are doing this or not. That is normal.
When you say important decision, you mean, give an example.
Important decision is granting a loan to a subsidiary. So we need to have a proper contract, loan contract with a proper interest rate to be arm's length for all the transaction. If you are buying a new subsidiary, we need to have an evaluation about the subsidiary. If we are going to increase the capital of a subsidiary, what are the capital needs for this subsidiary?
I see. So, I see. And when you handle the account,
but it's a very privately held discussion. It's not an open discussion with any other. It's really face to face or on phone with the client.
Understand?
Yes.
So a kind of tailor-made attitude.
Tailor-made. Luxembourg is tailor-made attitude. It's not like it's not an offshore jurisdiction. You cannot buy on a shelf a company and do what you want. It's really regulated because holding activities is quite manageable and easy to explain to the client. But for instance, for trading company, Luxembourg is not the best jurisdiction. So
what is the rate? Yes.
The normal company rate is around 30%. 30. Yeah. So it's not the best.
It is similar to UK.
Similar to UK, but we don't have this possibility that they have in UK. So in some way it's not. We can do something if it's real trading, if actually the company employs somebody in Luxembourg real office, that we can ask if we can have some special treatment, but normal rate is 30%.
Okay. Let's keep the trading company. Now, if the company once a year have to pass the audit, if I'm not mistaken, what documents you collect? How you
we are actually the accountant of the company, so we don't need to collect anything else.
So you already have all this.
We already have, because if we are, for instance, increasing the capital of a subsidiary, I ask the notarial deed or the deed of a capital increase. If I'm granting a loan, I already have the contract, the loan contract. So I think we ask the documents as soon as we need, not 3 years later or 10 years later. So we really every time we do something, we have the document. We have a proper document.
Yeah, that's easy.
So
you do not need to collect each.
March, April, we already closed the accounts of the previous year. So the auditor's work is quite prepared, well done by us. So doesn't have to check, and it's not really. An auditor is not a revisor, is a normal, another accountant that is auditing, is an external accountant that is auditing, but we know how to prepare the file. It's really straight away.
Okay. So we already talked about some advantages of Luxembourg, which are good double tax treaty, a special low rate for dividends, the possibility to to make the outflow of the dividends from the country to offshore jurisdiction. Also, the other advantages about the technical possibility to take the
I like to mention just the intellectual property regime.
Okay,
which is special to Luxembourg and have more advantages than other countries. So that is Luxembourg became a hub for intellectual property. We have all American companies like Amazon, Google, Skype, with the European operation headquarter in Luxembourg. So we have a legislation that attracts this kind of companies. So for intellectual property, not only IT, but all startup companies can be in Luxembourg.
For startup companies, I have the doubts.
But there are also tax credit, the government is helping, there are special...
Tax credit, yes, but not the credit of your services. So,
I agree.
Yes, this is well known that European jurisdictions like Luxembourg, they are a few times less expensive than in comparison with the offshore companies and so on. So not for startups, but for those who are already well known and
Yes. Second stage. Yes. Okay. Second stage. Okay. So IP regime is. We are doing something also with Russian clients on IP. So it's really respected. We have a legal protection of IP, and legal protection is coming from a AAA country. So with a solidity and stability political since 60 years. I'm not even used as an Italian to have such permanent and trustful politician in place for the last 60 years. So political stability is important because they don't change law every year like in other countries. The public finance is stable. We don't need money from abroad, so we can invest our own tax in our own country. We don't need to collect money from abroad. So practically is independent. Even if it's a small country, it's independent because it's a healthy country, AAA. We cannot compare with other jurisdiction, I think. And that's why also the fund industry is there. Luxembourg is a hub for funds, so it's place number 1 in Europe for funds. We have 2.5 trillion euros of funds under management in Luxembourg, and that means that we have the trust because money goes where there is trust. So,
well, the question about the funds and the trust is the very demanded question from the clients, and I think that is the topic for the separate webinar.
Yes, we will.
So let us have a promise to have this talk about the funds next time. And as for now, I would like to say thank you to you and to say goodbye to our listeners. See you tomorrow. До свидания.
До свидания.